So we're going to be covering 5 Diablo 4 tips. These are my absolute favorite OP endgame tips. These are things that I really would rather not live without. Now, as we go through these, I want to give you one of the biggest tips I can give anybody who's playing this game. Play the way that you want to play. Play a way that you actually enjoy. So now the very first tip we're going to look at actually brings us back to one of the cool mechanics of the season, and that is tempering. So when you're doing tempering on Ancestrals, and this is the full end game, anything before this, you're only going to get 1 temper option, but for Ancestrals, you get 2. So what my recommendation is both of these first ones in these categories. So for these gloves, I have an offensive ability I can get and a utility. Now, even if you have something else, like, let's see if I actually have an amulet. Yeah, let's drop an amulet there. So an amulet has 5 options of things that you can actually temper onto this, but you can only pick 2 of them. Once you've picked one, you're kind of locked in that category with that, with the rest of your rolls after that. So back to this one, we're looking at these gloves. You want to come in here. And so in this, if I was going to use these gloves, I'd be throwing on a one of the summoning items here. So let's float over that because I'm looking for that golem damage at the bottom. Now I'm going to roll this, and instead of re-rolling over and over again until I get my golem damage, I'm just going to roll it once, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to pick my utility. So for this build, I am trying to either get Decrepify or I'm trying to get Corpse Tendrils increase in the radius here. So I'm going to roll each one of these while they're both free. And what that allows me to do, instead of just rolling the first offensive and re-rolling it until I get the golem damage, I now get to see what utility or both tempers I have and which one's the worst and actually needs the re-rolls, because you only get 5. So I just want to make sure that you use it to have the best chance of getting a better build. Because if I look here at this offensive one and I go to Summoning Finesse, let's float over again. If I look at that first one, the damage to summoning damage, that would improve my build. If I look at the second one, Skeletal Mages, that would improve my build. I do want the golem damage, but if I did all my rolls and then let's say on the utility roll, I ended up getting Iron Maiden, then I wouldn't be able to change it at that point. So just roll your first 2 tempers and then pick which one needs the re-rolls the most. This has saved me a ton of pain and misery. I did run it the other way for a while. I wasn't thinking. I was like, I need that golem damage. And it was nice when I got it, but then I would find that I had another useless build or another useless temper, and then I have to just go find another item. So the next one is something that you guys have probably seen a ton of, but it makes such a big difference that I want to emphasize it because it completely changed how I played this season. And I was being super conservative with it at first, but no longer. When you come in here, the new potions for the season, this Elixir of Holy Bolts is one of the absolute best things for pushing, for clearing hell tides, for tons and tons of cinders. You are going to want this up almost all the time. Now, they drop regularly well in hell tides, but you don't see them that often outside of that. Actually, I guess I did see them in Nightmare Dungeon, but hell tides a lot is where I got most of mine. But if you are running out of them, you can also buy them with obols. So if we come in here, let's go to our potions person, our alchemist. When you come in here and go craft elixirs, seasonal elixirs is this holy bolts right here. It is going to cost me 350 obols. So as long as the activities I'm doing get me more obols than that, then I can just keep buying them. You know, what I noticed in Nightmare Dungeon, especially if you're pushing your runs higher and higher, I was getting 140 by the end, but early on I was getting like 100 obols. So as long as I could do 3 Nightmare Dungeons while I was running one of these, I could have this up all the time. And that's exactly what I did. So that being said, again, I just want to reiterate, having Holy Bolts up all the time makes a big difference. In Nightmare Dungeons, I was able to push 15 levels higher with doing nothing more than running bolts. With the Hell Tides, I was able, there's an area, one of the Helltide areas that has 3 separate areas. In each area, if you guys don't know already, has 1 of the living steel and 1 of the mystery chest. I was able to get all 6 of the chests across all 3 areas and get additional chests in 1 Helltide. And that was because I was running Holy Bolts the entire time. It was absolutely incredible. Now, this is going to cost a lot of your obols, but if you're only spending on these, it's not bad. You usually get plenty more. If you're in Helltides, make sure you're running some of those side events and stuff to get even more, and opening chests. So you get a ton in there. One extra thing to just make sure that your obols are always doing really well is in the seasonal blessing, especially in Helltides, you can boost the amount of obols that drop from the Helltide chest. So this is another way to just get a ton earlier, get enough obols to basically stockpile. Now, you are going to go through a lot of opals, and there is one other place that we may want to use it, and that is getting the aspects that we need for our build. So the best place right now in this season, they have finally given us a very strong place to target aspects that we're looking for. And there's more benefit because not only do you get that aspect, but if you break that item down, you have it permanently in your Codex of Power at whatever power you get. So if you are maxing that out or you got a perfect roll, you have a perfect roll for the rest of this season. And that is pretty freaking awesome. But gambling is going to be the place you want to do. Now, how do we know what to gamble? What's going to give us the best options? Well, the quickest way, and this is the way I do it in game, I'll definitely give you a chart that'll show you all the breakdowns of what gives what, what do you break down to get at least the categories for the different aspects. But how to find out if, like, to double check for yourself is to say, okay, I'm going to say that I want to gamble for an offensive skill. I know the offensive skill rolls on gauntlets because I've done this, but this is how I verify. I put that in my Codex Power. I'm not going to actually put anything on here. I just want to see the categories it has. So this shows me this has offensive category, has 39 possible aspects, and utility 15. So if I have to add these up I could get any one of these if I'm gambling on my item. So this can either increase or decrease depending on how many categories it has, your likeliness of rolling the thing you really want. So let's go in here. Let's open up this offensive. And let's go down here a little bit. We'll just look for one that looks like I would want to upgrade it pretty soon. Let's say this bloodbath aspect. So I still only have a 13 of 16. It's a solid. I'm not using blood surge, but let's say I want to switch up my build and I want the skill now at max. I can start grinding for this before I switch over. So it's 13 of 16 here. Now, if I was to roll on that, I would go over and gamble, obviously. Now, if I wanted, I know that's an offensive skill. If I throw in a weapon, and you can always just throw things in here to check what it is, weapons only run offensive. So if I was really trying to get that and have the highest chance, I would roll weapons. So now you can also search, if you know the name of the aspect, you can search here for it. Let's say conceited. So conceited also needs an upgrade. So I could also do this one, but you can find the aspect you need and you can also see the category it's in. So once we know that, and we kind of can look through these, just look at the chart and you can see which items, amulets, rings, what categories they actually roll. But I like doing this because I like to be able to just confirm that something is, because sometimes something feels like it could be an offensive and it's not. So if I go in here and I check it, but it just gives me an easy way to check. So now that I have what aspect I want, I know what category it's in, and I have which item has the fewest category that contains that one as well, then I can come back over here to gambling. So now I'll come to the Purveyor of Curiosities. Now I am mainly with my obols, I'm not looking for a perfect roll of the main weapon I'm using. So, I might try to, like, if I was rolling these two-handed swords, that would cost me 75 per roll. So this is not a huge opportunity to get a lot of possible aspect chances. I'm much better off, because I'm just looking for the aspect, to roll one of the single-handed weapons. Now in Endgame, it does get even cooler, because you also have a pretty high chance of running the greater aspect. So these items here with the little star that has one item that is at its full max roll plus 50%. That's huge. So you can get those through gambling. So later on, if you have all your aspects, you've already done, you have what you need for holy bolts, then you can come in here and even look for, like, just the weapon you want. Okay, so you guys probably know at this point that this season is going to be very dominant Helltides. And Helltides are great leveling pretty much all the way from the beginning to the end. They feel really awesome. There's tons of gear drops. They're very rewarding. You get tons of potions. You get the mine cages. You get a lot of really cool things in there, and it's all in one place. All the honor that you need for the seasonal quest quest chest. It's pretty freaking awesome. But there is still a need to do probably what is one of my least favorite activities. It's the Nightmare Dungeons, but they are essential for leveling up your glyphs. So what I try to do is I want to make sure that I am at least maximizing my time in there, since I love it so much, that I'm getting the max amount of experience I can get, and I'm also getting those glyphs at the same level. Now, there has been seasons where I leveled to 100, and I still had I felt like 100 more Nightmare Dungeons to run because I just didn't time it right. This season, the experience has increased decent amount. The glyph experience has leveled up a decent amount. What I recommend is if you target kind of really grinding Nightmare Dungeon, pushing your glyph levels around level 75 to 80, that you will have these glyphs leveled up well before, or not well before, but a few levels probably before you get to 100, all the way to level 21. So these will be max powered glyphs. You never have to touch them again. You're just going to be OP as crap right there. It is very powerful. Like, I mean, it makes then running the pits insanely awesome. And once you get the glyphs leveled up, you can go level up anywhere else you want if you want to finish out that 100, or keep going if you are enjoying them. And so around 75 to 80, I think about 82 is where I started, but I was pushing very heavy, as high of a dungeon level as I possibly could at all times. And I was able to, I think within 3 dungeons, I think I got 100, 3 dungeons later, I had all of my glyphs to level 21. It was pretty freaking awesome. So again, to help this, both in speed clears, and just, also getting as much experience as you can, keep running that Holy Bolts. This, I would use it all the way through Nightmare Dungeons, because you get those chests at the end and they give you enough obols to keep yourself fresh in Holy Bolts. So it's an absolute awesome combo right now. This brings me to the next one. And this one probably seems simple on face value, but it is so powerful in making me allowing me to enjoy the game at a whole new level. It makes it way more fun. I'm not so decision fatigued. I'm not constantly looking through gear and spending most of my time doing that. I am out there, I am running, I'm leveling like mad and getting just crazy drops. So the first thing that I look at is around World Tier 3, about midway through, I found that it was completely useless to use rares for anything. So all the yellow items, I just stopped picking them up. Occasionally I accidentally pick them up, and that's fine. I'll just break them down. Not a big deal. But as you can see, I'm only grabbing the legendaries. And so as I go through here in legendary, so then I could sort that. And once my bag was full, I could go see if there's anything worthwhile to upgrade to. Quickly after that, though, in World Tier 4, I was at it just felt useless to even check all the legendaries, because what I was really looking for is I already had all 925 gear, or at least as close as I really needed to have a solid build. And really what I was looking for is these greater fixes. It was time to upgrade my base item before I went and finished out the tempering and the master working and everything that's going to take this to a whole new level and allow me to just push through the pit. I want to have most of my gear be things that have these greater fixes on them. As you can see, I'm almost there. I think I'm missing 3 items don't have a greater fix on them right now. What I did is I still want all these items for breaking down, but I'll just go in, I'll come into my stash, I will throw an item in. As you see, these are, other than some uniques, these are all greater fixes. And I'll just drop them off there. I don't have to spend a lot of time. I don't have to sort them right away. I know they're likely to be pretty cool, so they're worth, and we have so much bag space now. I've been trying to fill it up, and it's if it was like last season, this would already be filled end to end by the time I got to level 100, but it feels really nice. Lots of uniques, even uniques with greater fix, and then a ton of greater fix. So then when I do that, I'll just go to the blacksmith, and I'll just break down all items. This saves me a tremendous amount of time, and it just feels breezier. I could be in just doing maiden runs, jump out to the town, drop off my greater fixes in 10 seconds, and break down everything else. My bag is clear again, and I'm back just getting tons of gear. And in many cases, before they even finish killing the next maiden. So it felt really good. I don't know. The leveling right now feels better than I think it ever has. Now, while we're here at the blacksmith, there is a few things that I think they're honorable mention. They weren't some of the key 5 that when I really thought about it, but they are so useful that I just want to make sure they're mentioned because they're critical for endgame. The first is going to be about masterworking. And so masterworking is just so powerful. When you're running through the pit and you're constantly leveling up your gear a little bit through masterworking, what happens is each of these little nodes, I'll actually show over here first. So each of these little dots, this is a 5% increase to all my fixes, 5% increase to all my fixes, 5%. On every 4th, they're going to give me a 20% bump to one of these skills at random. So it's either intelligence, movement speed, armor, even the lucky hit, and another movement speed that I got on through tempering. Any of those could get a 20% boost in one go. So what I did for maximizing power is I would pick an item, and I'd pick the item that was most likely to be the one I was going to keep the longest. And this one had 2 greater fixes on it. So this one seemed pretty strong and had, everything that I was looking for. It has the ultimate cooldown and the golems. It's pretty cool. So I first pushed this to level 4. I didn't push it to the next tier. I'm going to wait. I'm going to try to get all these to 4, get that big boost to the 20%, and then I can get back at the pit and just keep pushing through and breezing through the early levels of the pit and getting way more resources so I can masterwork even faster. it just is this really cool combination where you're coming out, you're getting these big jumps in, one item at a time, and then you're getting back in the pit and just pushing harder and harder. It's pretty nice, and I was able to blitz through, I think, the first 60 levels in the pit very easily without feeling like I had to do a major stop or rehaul on any of my gear. Now, the next thing comes down to something that I think it's talked about a lot this season. It didn't seem to be that big of an issue last season, but it is going to be around the Wolves encampment. As you're building up the honor in this season, you're getting unlocks of really cool chests. Now, there's a bunch of people that go, I hold it all the way to the end, and I open it right away because I just want to have fun. And people are like worried that they're not being efficient in how they go about this. But as you unlock these chests, what I did is about halfway through, I was just opening them right away. And so I got the feel for that. It felt pretty good. It was fun to get a unique in like World Tier 2 and have it be useful and put it on. And then I was just crushing. I had it on for quite some time. I had it well into beating the Capstone 1. So I got into World Tier 3 with it. That was pretty awesome. And then I was wondering though, is it really better to hold on to it? Would I get like a great endgame set if I just waited to the very end? If I got to all the way to 100 in World Tier 4 and opened everything, would that be worth it? And it's not. They give you basically shit rolls. You're not getting max 925s, on any of the items actually. And I opened, I think, every chest from like this one to this one, and it just wasn't worth it. It was a bunch of crap that I just had to break down because it wasn't useful. So my recommendation, just to give you guys like where I think it'll probably be the most beneficial, if you're in World Tier 3, let's say you come in World Tier 3 around level 40, what I would do is kind of wait till you're probably level 50. That's about the, 50 to 70 is supposed to be that range, that level range for World Tier 3. Wait till you're about 50 and then go open the chest. Because you want to make sure that you get a bunch of sacreds and then you can use them at least through the World Tier and helping you push faster into World Tier 4. Now, whatever it is that you have at that point. Now for World Tier 4, the range is 70 to 100. So I think once you get to that level 70, even if you're a World Tier 4 by like 60, wait till you're like around 70, 72, like somewhere right in that range, and then go and open up a bunch of your chests. I think those are going to have the best benefit for leveling like crazy and making the game really, really enjoyable. So for the next one here, this is something that is going to affect only Hell Tides, but it is crazy powerful and you do not want to sit on it. If you have not seen this yet, the Profane Mind Cage is insane. And so what this does for you, if long as you are clearing the Hell Tides very readily, like you're not finding yourself like in trouble of dying from the Hellborn or the Maiden's not popping you in one hit, then you definitely want to look at using one of these as often as you can. Because what it does is it increases the monster level by 10. So that puts you in the ideal range for experience, even while you're in Hell Tides. Like if I'm running Nightmare Dungeons, I'm going to try to keep a big gap on my level versus the monster level. This allows us to do it in Hell Tides as well. And it increases the Cinder drop rate. And as we mentioned before, if we're using Holy Bolts, we are just clearing like crazy. We're opening tons of chests. We can get a lot more reward for the same 50 minutes that we are in Hell Tides and make it just feel impactful what we're doing and get tons of gear, tons of experience. It's just an absolute blast. Now, if you guys are loving this and you know that you're doing a ton in Hell Tides and maybe you're even earlier than Endgame, make sure you catch out this video right here where I go through 16 tips and tricks to level like mad in Hell Tides.